Hey, welcome back to DieCash Cars. So today we got a special guest.
My name is Alice.
And she is my daughter, and she wanted to just see how to make YouTube videos. So I brought her along today for today's topic, and that is having a Hot Wheels collection versus having a real car. But first off, let's ask Alice what she thinks. Would she rather have the toy Subaru Impreza WRX STI in 1/64 scale, or would she rather have the real one in real life?
I'd rather have the real one.
Why would you rather have the real one?
Because you can go on it and drive to places.
So I would imagine that is the answer that the vast majority would have, is that you would rather have a real car versus 1/64, a bunch of Hot Wheels. But I am here to make the argument as to why I would rather have my 1/64 Hot Wheel collection versus a one-of-one real life sports car. And to do that, I'm going to break it down into three categories. The first one being the upfront costs and maintenance between a Hot Wheel collection and a real car. Starting off with the Hot Wheels, and the direct comparison is this Fast and the Furious Subaru Impreza WRX STI. Could have been purchased a couple of years ago for about $5 to $6. That's pretty much the upfront cost there. The only thing I could think of from a maintenance standpoint is maybe you purchase a couple of these Sterling protectors to put it in there. And that is pretty much it from a maintenance standpoint, other than just finding a safe spot on your wall to put it up for display. But when it comes to a real car, when I had my 2015 Subaru Impreza WRX STI, I purchased it for $40,000. That came out to roughly $450 every month from a finance standpoint. On top of that, I was paying about $100 every month for insurance. And obviously I modified it. I'd say on average I spent about $2,000 to $3,000 every year on this car in aftermarket parts. I mean, from a modification standpoint for a Hot Wheels, I would say the comparable is just putting rail riders on the car, which I did a video on this not too long ago, and you guys know that I paid about $15 for these rail rider sets off the RLC Mattel Creations website. So all in all, guys, I would say upfront costs, maintenance, and modifications, Hot Wheels is the cheaper route. So before we jump into the next category, let me just ask my guest today, what is your favorite car, Alice?
This 240Z.
And why do you like it?
Because it's white.
That's a perfect car, a fair lady for a fair lady. The next category, why I'd rather have my Hot Wheel collection versus a real car, is around variety. So when I had my Impreza WRX STI, I was part of a Subaru club, and don't get me wrong, it was great camaraderie. I loved meeting with my group and going on cruises and going to the swap meets as well as the car shows. I mean, I basically lived and breathed Subarus and WRXs and STIs. My vision was very centered around the Subaru cars and the community, and it didn't allow me to broaden my horizons as far as all the other cars that were out there. So everything from Supras, Skylines, Evos, going into the domestic side, so the Camaros, the Demons, the Ford Mustangs. I knew everything there was to know about Subarus, but when it came to any other make or model, I was completely lost. And I just wish that I knew a lot more about all the other cars, because in all honesty, I didn't see myself in a Subaru forever. And that's a big reason why after I sold my 2015 STI back in about 2018, I jumped right into Hot Wheels, because number one, I wanted to be connected to the car community, and then I wanted to just experience a good variety of cars. That way I had a better understanding of what my true interests are as far as cars, and I knew what car, what make and model to purchase next. I mean, you guys have seen my Hot Wheels collection, my room tour video. I mean, I pretty much collect every car out there when it comes to Hot Wheels. I got a little bit of Euro, a little bit of exotic. I got JDM, which is predominant within my collection. Everything from Hondas, Toyotas, Nissans. Obviously, I got a bunch of Subarus everywhere because they're still very close to me. But what I've learned collecting these 1/64 diecast cars is that I got a real soft spot for Honda Civics as well as Nissan Skylines. I mean, that is essentially my bread and butter. And then I can't forget my Junimai obsession, all the dots and 510s, the Bluebirds, as well as the wagons. That is the kind of experience and exposure that you don't get when you own one car, and everything that you do revolves around that one make and model. So the last category is all about value of these cars, whether it be the 164 or the one of one. But let me jump over to my guest real quick. Alice, what would you pay for this 164 Subaru Impreza WRX STI made by Hot Wheels?
$50.
Wow, that's a great answer. So not quite $50, but the current secondary market value for this Fast and Furious white Subaru Impreza WRX STI is currently going for about $20 to $25. Even in loose format, it's selling for about $10 to $15. And that's a pretty substantial gain from the retail price of about $5 to $6, essentially quadrupling in value over the last couple of years. And that is essentially unheard of when it comes to real cars. So again, my 2015 STI, purchased it for $40,000, and after about 4 years of ownership, I brought it into dealership and I was only able to get $30,000 back. So I essentially lost 1/4 of what I paid for this car, essentially losing out on $10,000. But that's the game we play with real cars. I mean, they essentially lose value and depreciate the second that you drive off the dealership lot. And that's always been something that really bugged me with cars, because they are a depreciating asset. It's not like collectible items where you're gonna see the values go up in value. For instance, if you just think about the 22B treasure hunt that came out just this past year, you could purchase it for $1.20 is the going rate today, and currently in the secondary market you can go and sell it for double, triple. I've seen this car sell as much as $7 to $8, essentially 7 to 8 times what you paid retail within just hours of purchasing this car. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, well, there's definitely collector cars. So take, for example, the Mark IV Supra, and not the 164 Auto World, but the real life Mark IV Supra. Back when it was for sale and lining the Toyota dealerships, you could have purchased this car for around $50,000 to $60,000 MSRP. And right now, those cars are skyrocketing in demand, selling right now as the used car. With up to 100,000 miles, you can still get about $90,000 to $100,000, essentially doubling what you paid for this car roughly 20 years ago. So there are definitely real cars in real life that have such a cult following to where the values really do skyrocket, comparable to collectible DieCash cars. But these cars are really far and few between. I mean, the Supra, as well as other very sought after 90s JDM cars, are essentially one-off outliers when it comes to the resale market for real cars. Now, where I will say a real car wins from a value standpoint is sentimental value. I mean, when I had my WRX STI, there was nothing like getting in and just going wide open throttle on that thing. In Mexico, of course, and banging through all the 6 gears. I mean, that thing was so fun. I mean, I love the fact that the sound deadening on this car was absolutely horrendous, and I can feel and hear everything from the engine to the suspension. I mean, there's definitely a rush when it comes to this car, driving it in real life, that you do not get in 1/64 scale. And don't get me wrong, I definitely want another car, and I do plan on getting one in real life very soon here. But for now, guys, I'm perfectly fine with my Hot Wheels collection. It gives me a lot of hope, a lot of aspirations, and it allows me to explore all the different makes and models out there so that I can make the right decision the next time I plan to pick up another monster for the streets. So that's what I got for you guys today.
Like and subscribe.
And I'll see you next time on DieCash Cars.
Hop through the weasel, the more you bring the band on your bang. Hop through the weasel. Mana mana, ba da ba ba, bop through the weasel.